Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. It's a terrific Tuesday evening, and I have the pleasure of sharing my thoughts and feelings on the Season 1 finale of the Kings of Napa. And I must say that time has truly flown by. It seemed like yesterday when I shared my intentions for reviewing this series, and I appreciate the thousands of people who've tuned in and checked out my reviews over that time. So for the purposes of this review, I will give my usual recap of the episode, my thoughts on the storylines throughout the episode, my overall rating of the episode, and I'll also share what I thought about the series overall. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. Episode 8, entitled Judas in the Black-Owned Vineyard, follows four main storylines. First, Melanie conveniently wakes up from her coma. Second, Rose is back. Third, Bridget gets exonerated. And fourth, the Extortionist is finally revealed. So let's first talk about Melanie coming back. In this scene, we see Vanessa and Christian at the hospital visiting Melanie and making small talk. And just as Vanessa and Christian come to a pause in their conversation, Melanie wakes up from her coma and all seems to be fine. We see Melanie talking to her doctor, who shares that everything seems to be fine with her, but he wants to keep her in the hospital for observations. And in the back of my mind, I'm just a little confused, because last episode, the doctor made it seem like Melanie didn't have long to live, and the family needed to get Melanie's personal affairs in order. And later on in the episode, Melanie is informed that there will be some clinical trial drugs that she could take for her illness, which I definitely find convenient, but I digress. Next, let's talk about the return of Rose. Early in the episode, the family is meeting to talk about changes to the dessert wine, as well as Bridget being the extortionist. And during this meeting, Rose walks into the room like she hadn't just ghosted everybody for the past few days. Rose informs everyone that she's heard about Bridget being the extortionist, and she doesn't believe any of it. Dana invites Rose out to talk one-on-one. Once they are alone, Dana talks to Rose about why she went missing, and he lets her know that he saw her kissing Bridget. Rose is heartbroken over being caught cheating, and she essentially begs Dana to help make their marriage work, and Dana seems to be on board with it. And in the back of my mind, I'm wondering if Rose only knew about all the massage therapists that Dana hired to help him release the tension. But later on, Rose meets up with Bridget to check in on things. They talk about Bridget's situation, and Bridget leaves because she isn't happy that Rose chose Dana over her. Afterwards, Rose contacts the fertility clinic and they inform Rose that Dana provided a sample that didn't have any sperm in it. Rose knows what this means, but she wants to talk to Dana about it. So the two of them meet again, and Rose confronts Dana about the possibility of him getting a vasectomy behind her back. And Dana admits to getting one, which to me was pretty dumb from a storytelling standpoint. Dana should have known that Rose would have eventually found out about him having a vasectomy, so he really didn't have a stand on when she felt some type of way about the truth. Rose seems very hurt by the news, and she vows to leave Dana. Dana lets Rose know that if she divorces him, then she will lose her job. Rose replies that she doesn't care. Rose then meets up with Bridget again, and we see Rose getting liquored up and ready to get down and nasty with Bridget. Bridget tries to warn Rose that her honey pot is so sweet it could cause Rose to have diabetes, but Rose replies that she's ready for the beaties and some cavities on top. Now let's briefly talk about Bridget being exonerated. Earlier in the episode, Bridget meets with Kelvin to go over testifying at the trial. As Bridget is answering some of Kelvin's questions, he doesn't feel confident in putting her on the stand. Bridget still wants to fight nonetheless. Later on, Bridget goes to the hospital to visit Melanie, and Vanessa's also there. They catch up on all that's going on, and Bridget lets her mother know that she's being framed, and August is the only person that has a key to her apartment. Melanie tasks Vanessa with reaching out to August to see if she still has that key. So Vanessa complies, and it turns out that August doesn't have the key to the apartment anymore. So at this point, all things point to Bridget being exonerated. But of course, I've said this the past several episodes. So the million-dollar question is, if Bridget is innocent, then who is the extortionist? Well, let's talk about this extortionist business. Earlier in the episode, August is meeting with Yvette and Grace to talk about the new dessert wine. During this meeting, August gets a call from none other than the extortionist. He tells August that he still wants the payments and she shouldn't call the police. So what does August do? She meets with Dana and they contact the police about the extortionist's new demands. Later on in the episode, August meets up with Kelvin and tells him about the extortionist calling back. Kelvin lets August know that Bridget was with him during the time the extortionist called her. They vow to talk about the situation more over dinner. Later that evening, August goes to the restaurant with that suspicious-looking white guy from the first and previous episode of the season. Kelvin is stuck in traffic, and the white guy, whose name is Chris, is acting pretty creepy with August. When Chris leaves to prepare August's food, August is somehow moved by the spirit to walk outside, and when she goes outside, she sees Chris's car and an ID badge, which suggests that Chris is the extortionist. And surprise, surprise, Chris is the extortionist all along. Chris reveals that he's been extorting the Kings all this time because Reggie stole land from his family and Chris was trying to get what is owed to him. This is where the storytelling turns a little crazy, as it's revealed that Chris is somewhat racist, and August feels that the best way to deal with a racist who has a gun is to use her gift of gab and insult him at every turn. Chris also lets August know that he was able to gain entry into the house because they always left their windows open. And to me, this is completely dumb. Matter of fact, the whole storyline with this extortionist was pretty dumb. Why? Because if August had gone to the police much sooner instead of relying on the jackleg Quincy, and if the family members had simply kept their windows closed or had a reputable security system, then all of this could have been avoided. But Kelvin arrives with the police and Chris is taken to jail. The episode concludes with some of the loose ends being tied. By the miracle of convenient storytelling, the family is able to use Christian's bourbon as well as Bridget's special grapes to make Grace's dessert wine stand out from Sean and Sean. The wine distributors taste the new wine and agree to distribute it under the condition that they would drop Sean and Sean's cheaper dessert wine. The girl who wanted to be Christian's girlfriend for the past few episodes just suckered him into doing a deal with some shady investors. Aunt Yvette and her boyfriend decide to take their relationship to the next level. Bridget and August decide that their relationship should be strictly platonic, and an unknown man approaches Vanessa with a proposal to buy the Vineyard. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this episode a 4. There was a whole lot going on, and it was predictable at times and downright silly at other times. But as a series, I view the Kings of Napa being in the same realm as shows like Empire and Our Kind of People. I hold a show like Empire as the shining example of what could be, because in the show's first 2 seasons, they had amazing acting performances that matched their fleshed out storytelling. For the Kings of Napa, in my opinion, one of the weak spots has been the acting performances, but the storytelling has been interesting yet inconsistent over this season. In hindsight, I wish Reggie King would have been given at least 2 to 3 episodes of character development before getting killed off. I also wish that they would have explored Dana's backstory a little more, and I also wish they didn't make Christian so incompetent. I would definitely like to see a season 2 of the show, but I need the writers of the show to get things together, and I need the directors to get more from their acting talent from the show. But once again, I would like to thank everyone who came along on this journey with me and checked out my new reviews for the show. I'd like to thank everyone who saw my reviews and subscribed to my channel because of them. And I would also like to hear from all of you regarding shows that you will want me to review in the future. But this marks the end of my video. If you have any comments for me, then feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to reply to each and every one of them. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.